Hi, how are you? You aren't going to answer that, are you? Because you don't really exist here. But I'm just trying to be polite. Right now, what I'm doing is I'm looking through a really big notebook. It's this one. Because I'm thinking about a littler notebook. This is this one. To have a to-do item list on this one. 3 notebooks. Now, what's cool about the big notebook is that this big notebook came from a time when I was in bed, injured as fuck, like super injured, like, kind of recovering from a death-defying, I would like to say it was a death-defying feat, but it was a death-defying accident that was dumb. And kind of funny, actually, if you really look at it. But what's fun is, I got my pen here, and I'm going through this notebook, which is not super dense. Like, there's some pages that have a lot of density, but this medium notebook has a lot of density. And I'm looking at the ideas I had when I was in this bed, stuck in the bed, unable to walk. And it's very enjoyable because a lot of the things that I think haven't changed that much. Now, they have developed a little bit, but and all of this shit, of course, all of this notebook bullshit is all irrelevant, because when I die, it just all gets burned or thrown away. So I'm trying to figure out, like, okay, well, what is the things I thought of when I was stuck in the bed that are valuable, and how could those serve people? And a bunch of it is no big surprise, the same kind of stuff I thought of now, that I think of now. So, the question is, am I going to do anything about it? Am I going to create the organizations required? Am I going to show the leadership skills necessary to bring along the many people who want to follow something? And this is a huge conflict in my life, because I don't really want to be a leader. It's really annoying, unfulfilling, opens you up to tons of criticism and persecution even. Like, it's just not any fun, really. And in my case, it doesn't pay anything. I mean, every fucking day, almost, not quite, but every week certainly, I get multiple requests to live here for free, off of me, because I have shown some leadership qualities in what I say, and that attracts people who are looking for Big Daddy to pay for everything. And they all say, oh, I'm really great. And now I've even got people saying, hey, I know of this guy, and this guy should go live with you. And he's super great, and he's got great ideas, and he's a hard, smart worker. And please, take him to live at your place. And I'm like, I'm not surviving here, and I'm worried about, like, having internet at all, which I currently have none. I'm recording this on a battery that's going to die. I have no cell phone service. I have no internet. I did buy some food, so I have some food. I have some cans of beans and stuff. But you're asking me to pay for your friend to live here for free? How come you're not mentioning that you're going to pay for your friend to live here for free? And I'm talking to people sometimes who want to live in this area, and do they really want to have a community of people where they pay for everybody else? No, of course they don't. They're just like a person who's saying, hey, there's a lost dog, and you have all this space, and so take the lost dog. Take it, or you're uncaring. You're mean. Because it would, you have all this space. It's like, no. If I take your lost dog human, who, like in one of the cases I'm thinking of, comes with 2 other humans that I would have to pay for, and I have no more blood to take. I have no fucking more ability to pay for you fucks. Alright? Think about it. What would happen if you were just being, like, after being mugged and beaten up for 20 fucking years, if you were being followed around by a bunch of people saying, hey, pay for me to live, pay for me to live. Well, that's kind of how I feel. I'm not going to pay for you to live. Figure your shit out. You're so fucking great, right? A different friend of mine from 20 years ago. She has not communicated with me for 20 years. It's actually a little bit over 20 years. And she says, my friend has all these great ideas, and he just needs a sanctuary, a place to be. And it's like, great. Where's his business plan? How is he going to fund himself? Because I can't fucking fund him. It's not free to live as I do. I have nothing to offer this person. I mean, they can come here and then they can just whine about, I don't even know how it goes, but actually I kind of do know how it goes since I've been through this hundreds of times before, where people show up and they want to live for free over and fucking over. I know exactly how it goes. And it doesn't go well for me. Some of them even have to be paid to leave, or they want to be paid to leave. I don't do that shit anymore. I'm just like, fuck you. Go try and survive. You showed up here with nothing, you leave here with nothing. And that sounds so mean, doesn't it? So unkind. But I'm living on nothing. I'm dying here. So, all these kind people. I mean, this latest kind lady who sends me her friend, right? My question is, why doesn't she pay for him? Why doesn't she want to pay? Because she wants me to pay for her friend, the person she's impressed with, who is not a long-term friend. She's just some guy she met at a conference. And we've communicated before, and he wanted to bring 5 people here for free. Oh, it was 6, including him. And it's like, why is it that you've picked me to pay for you? Am I your magic daddy? Am I your, like, BDSM daddy who's going to pay for you? And if you're so fucking smart, how come you can't set up your own crowdfunding thing? Or how come you can't figure out a way to raise funds? Because that's what you're asking me to do. You're saying you should figure out a way to pay for me in my life. And I do have something that they want really bad. I have a bunch of land. But guess what they can't do? They're not able to survive here on this land without resources. It requires a lot of resources. Shit doesn't just fall off the trees at you to support you. You need transport. My van's dead. You need food. Well, Good luck eating pine needles. And yeah, with years of work, you could grow gardens and do food forest farming here. But with years of work, years of funding, that's what it would take. And you're trying to tell me that I should fund you? Or that I should fund your friend? And it's always easy to ask for money for your friend. I mean, I had one of the lamest chicks here I've ever had in my whole experience. And she came here, it was during an event. And she was like, well, can my boyfriend just have a break on how much he's paying? And it's like, well, first of all, why are you asking me this? Second, you seem like a weakling little rich bitch. Oh, I said the word bitch. It's so terrible. Yeah. Well, welcome to reality. There's bitches in the world. And the reason she's asking for a boyfriend is because her boyfriend doesn't have the balls to ask me himself. And I don't have anything left. I mean, at that time, when I was hosting a whole bunch of people, and she was having a wonderful time. A great time. So was her boyfriend. And they're just more willing to ask for somebody else. And it's like, fuck, I was losing money the whole time. I lost money for 20 years. It wasn't quite 20 years, because since then I've been scraping by hardcore on other shit. But it's like, do these people have any self-concept at all? The only thing I have is that I'm land rich and cash poor. So figure out how to bring some cash so that we can continue to invest in the land. And also, if you're going to introduce yourself to me, tell me what values you live by. Tell me any reason to trust you at all. Because I don't trust you at all. There are so many scammers right now where I live. Everybody's just scamming everyone else. There's people who have whole, conferences and stuff where they're trying to scam other people to pay for their land. And then the people who go to the conference go there thinking, okay, well, maybe I can find a cheap place to live and I can scam off other people. They're all looking for somebody else to pay more than they do. All of them. And maybe there's like a 1 or 2% exception. And those are the people I'd be willing to talk to. Because those are the people who would say, I get the big picture. I get that all these people are just scammer fuckwads. And I would actually like to invest in a piece of land, whether it's one that they own or not. Either one is fine with me. I'm willing to talk to people and arrange things. But they have something where they want to create a positive future for themselves in what's going to probably be the coming difficult times. Root sellers. Other people who have resources. Because even this woman who wants me so much to accept her friend, her new friend, who she doesn't really know, she's not willing to pay for that guy. She wants me to pay for that guy. Why is that? Why is it she thinks I'm so stupid? It's because I have been so stupid. I've hosted a lot of people for free, and I've lost money for so long. And I have no more interest in that. And it's not that I feel like those people were necessarily bad. They took advantage of a situation that I offered, and we had a good time. We had a lot of great parties, and they pretended to work a little bit. About 15 to 20% of what someone could work if I actually paid them locally. They're terrible workers. They're not used to working. Many of them, they were young people. They never had a job in their life, and they're really fun. They're very cute and young. That does not build a new world. And so I'm kind of interested now more in people who have resources more than just their theoretical labor and their theoretical smartness, which often correlates with them thinking that they can be in control and say, this is how things should be done. And it's like, well, I've been here for 20 years, you haven't, and I think I might have a better idea of how things should be done. Despite your idea for a perpetual motion machine or whatever dumbass other fucking shit you think. If you're a person who understands what I'm saying, by the way, I don't mean to insult you. It could be that you're an awesome person and we would be amazing partners. If you're a person who can work online, who has resources, maybe you're even retired. Maybe you're, able to work online in whatever way you do. I'm very accepting of such things. So I'm not trying to insult everyone. Just, in fact, if I'm insulting anyone, it's myself. For having accepted so many people in a way that was inherently not financially responsible. It was inherently unsustainable. And even though I would love to adopt every lost puppy in the world, and I would love to accept every refugee in the world, and every person who wants to live for free because money is a bullshit thing that they would like to live without, it's like, no, I have no more blood to give. I can't serve any more fucking vampires or refugees. And if you're really so goddamn smart that you think you're special, then write up a business plan. You tell me how you're going to support yourself here, because it is not easy, especially in the position I've gotten to at this point, where I have no internet, I have zero internet right now, I have zero electricity, I have buildings falling apart, and I have, a really great place. It's a great opportunity. I invested well. I bought a piece of land that has gone up in value a lot, and now I've become a kind of, lonely, grumpy person who is not very willing to, after supporting so many people who are so kind and nice and, spoiled children of the industrial world. I'm not really that welcoming of more of that kind of abuse. So if you think you're so smart, write up your business plan. How are you going to support yourself? Or your friend who you want to recommend, and you don't want to pay for them, but you want me to pay for them. And I'm trying to maintain fences and, trying to reproduce plants and create a cool food forest farm and make an entire society that is unlike any you've ever seen. With people who are kind and empathetic, and they have social agreements and a fun time. And sometimes I make videos that seem kind of negative, and that's because I'm aware of reality and the world we live in. And perhaps you are sympathetic with that. I hope you are. But I would like to make videos that are more positive and that present a more positive view of what could exist in the world. Let's try that. Okay, it's going to be difficult because you're not necessarily going to like it. But we have to make social agreements that are outside of the social norm of whatever you're used to. Can you agree not to stab me? Probably so. I'm not going to stab you. I've never stabbed anyone in my whole life. And so I think we can agree to that. And we can also probably also agree to not have conversations that are so negative and threatening that we would think of such a thing, because that would also be bad. And we can also probably agree that we shouldn't probably break a lot of local laws that would cause us to be in industries that would cause us to have problems. There's a lot of cool movies about that kind of shit, right? Like where people have to kill each other and do bad things because they're in conflict with the local laws. Well, I'm not in conflict with the local laws. And you probably aren't either, I hope, or you should probably stay away from me. And so we don't have to stab each other because we have to enforce some kind of black market rules about, in other words, we can escape from the black market shit. You're probably not a person who has that problem. You're probably a person who thinks like, hey, I'd like to garden, and I'd like to raise rabbits and chickens, and unless you're a vegan, in which case, if you're a vegan, we might be incompatible, so there may be a problem there. I've had some problems with vegans, not all of them, but 95%. So this is supposed to be an optimistic video, right? Yeah, it is. We could build together an entirely new world. That's a little too optimistic. We could build a tiny bubble of a world where people are screened based on a set of shared values that are non-spiritual. Sorry for you spiritual, delusional people that are, kind of low-key, really. Like, kind of homebody kind of lifestyle, and, making our own food as much as possible, and living a relatively simple life, but with what really matters, and that is intimacy and kindness with other people, and just a nice place to be. I mean, I live out there in a nice forested area to be. And it's wonderful, actually. It's very wonderful. But I'm alone, and I don't trust anyone. And I know that's a character flaw. But that character flaw comes from people being untrustworthy. So I'm not willing to be flexible on certain values that I have. And the better thing than if you're ever trying to set up like an intentional community, you shouldn't just get a bunch of good people together and then say, hey, let's make up a community. Because you are guaranteed to have absolute conflict. It will not work out. And so my thought is that we should define the community and the values of that, and then gather the people together. Now, one of my thoughts is to create a space in which people of various ideas could come together and match up. And there could be times of the year when we match up people together. So if I'm a good person, a good boy, then I will put in a link to this video a detailed form for people to match up together with people who they share a bunch of values. I know that there's a bunch of people who say, oh, but you should just get together with everyone, and it should be really diverse, and you shouldn't be in information silos and cultural silos and stuff. But if you fundamentally have actual conflicts with each other based on, our 200 years of experiments in intentional communities, and the ones I'm personally aware of since the early 1970s, then you will fail, for sure. You're destined to fail. You've already failed before you started. Just because you got together nice people who said, oh, we're going to be all nice and together and it'll all work out. And it's like, no, you're all going to fuck up. You're going to be in massive power struggles. You're going to all sleep with each other in ways that are unacceptable to other people. And you're just doomed. And you're going to be one more failed community, and you'll go back to being slaves to normal society, which is what you are currently. That's so negative. I was trying to make a positive video. If we were willing to fill out forms and say, this is what I actually think I would like to have exist in my life as values I would want to live by. These are the values that I want to enforce upon other people as requirements, like, don't fuck my kid. I mean, I think a lot of people might agree with that kind of shit. Well, there's a whole bunch of other shit like that you would also want to agree with, that you're willing to have as law in your community. So you are a legalistic person. You want law in your community, like don't stab me. See, I kind of feel like this has to be like a whole series of videos of like the details of how to get together and not get together, and how to have people join your community, and then how also they can leave it, and how you can have aspects of your community that don't make it be bad, you know? Like, for example, communal ownership of stuff is inherently difficult. And so, any communal ownership of anything, you can do it. And I'm actually, with my own land, I have a bunch of land. You can figure out, like, well, how would that work out? And then, how can people join the community and then leave the community but not lose out? How can you not become an evil cult? And cult's a really fun word because people are so stupid about it. It's ridiculous. I mean, there's been a few bad cults that were like really bad, and then there's a bunch of cults that are just kind of lame. And then you can look up all these directories online of people trying to set up intentional communities, and you can find out all these people's personal issues about why they're upset so much about whatever cult. Well, I know a lot about cults. I grew up in cults. I have studied them heavily, and I understand how they work. And the thing is, you kind of want a cult. You really do. You want people near you who share values with you and who you can trust. Because you don't just want to live in a normal cult. And normal society is a huge cult of absolutely slavery, bullshit, fucked up crap. Even if it's just your homeowners association, I mean, that's its own cult. But that's a minor one. But your entire government controls you. You are a slave. You are in a cult already. And so the question is, could you actually hook up with people who share your values? And that, you think about how maybe, kids are important to you and you have kids. And then what agreements do you have with other parents or other adults in the community about how to treat your children? And, I don't have children, so I don't think about that much. But, it's a really important thing to a lot of people. So I care. Or like how public do you want to be? And I have thoughts about that. Like, don't be public at all. Be absolutely secret. Shut the fuck up about your community, your family, everything. Do not post online. Now, I break that rule myself because I don't have a family and I'm going to die anyway. And so I'm trying to help you out. I'm trying to help you find your community. And, of course, I'm not totally dead yet. Kind of dead on the inside a little bit. Not totally dead yet. But sorry. I'm so bored I have to amuse myself. I'm like the only comedian I know. I'm the only comedy show in town. But, I would actually like to help other people hook up to create communities that actually function. And those will be a variety of ways of doing it. They won't be my way. They'll be their ways. And it's going to be a little tricky, and I don't know of anyone else trying to actually do that. Most people are just trying to create communities based on their values and stuff like that, and it's like, yeah, I would actually like to help people do that, but it's not by my values. Just trying to stay alive, and I do have some very hardcore views about food forest farming and survival of humanity and trying to avoid the total extinction of the species. But, that's all my shit. And in case those things don't all occur real quickly, I have some really interesting ideas based on my strange life and experiences about how you could actually never be lonely again, how you could have your kids protected, how you could have all the sex you ever want to have of the kind you want to have, which could be monogamous, but nobody's really monogamous. It's a big lie. So I'm actually kind of a fan of the polyfidelity family thing, which you would have to look up. Polyfidelity, and closed groups of people who have sexual variety and are trusting within themselves and create a replacement for the extended family. Stuff like that. Which I know for some of you is just like, oh my God, that guy's a total freak. But your spouse is going to sleep around on you, and, you may not be the father of your children. And, DNA testing shows that. And so let's kind of get more realistic about what we actually want. And I think we really do want that extended family. And I don't know. I know that's a really difficult topic. And I just lost a bunch of people in this conversation. I don't know. I mean, that's what I would actually like. Because I've been alone a long time. And I know that I'll never be in a monogamous relationship again. Ever. Not going to do it. It's fake monogamy. And I don't even want it. I mean, I'm kind of old. And I like young chicks. I do. It's a terrible thing to say. And I'm not talking about underage, okay? Don't get all spastic on me. And I know there's a lot of judgment about age gap relationships. But I've had them, and I liked them, and the women liked them. And I didn't also think that they were forever. And that's another advantage of polyfidelity, is that you don't think you have one relationship that you are committed to forever. It's like you have multiple relationships that you have multiple commitments to for a time. So you invest in those. And there's a bigger question. This is really a bigger question. So right now, people are reproducing less. People are reproducing less. Why? Because they don't feel confident that their relationships are going to be good enough to raise children in. And that's completely reasonable, because they aren't. They're terrible. You're all slaves to the fucking state, and you don't have the economic resources, you don't have the extended family to support a child. And so that if you were going to have a child, if you're a woman, then you wouldn't have the support you should have. I knew a woman who had a child, and she thought she had all these nice female friends, all her wicked nice friends, and they were all going to help her. And it's like, she found out that they were not there for her. And if you're a guy, do you really expect to have support? You have to be. It might sound like a nice fantasy to live in the woods for a very, very long time and think, how could I design a new world? Maybe I'm very alone in that. I probably am, actually. Most people are probably just trying to get by, doing what they can do. But I'm looking through my notebooks, and, I got a lot of them. Things I write about, and trying to figure out how can we design a better society. And I understand that most people probably don't have that privilege of doing that, or really the intelligence to do it. We just respond. We're very responsive to the difficulties we face, and that's also how I live, just trying to live through what I'm living through. But I have had over the years time to think, how could things be different on various scales, like big scale, governmental scale, family scale, cultural scale? How could we make different social agreements? How could we deal with each other differently? Who are the bad people, and how can we deal with them? And how could we have them also not be bad people? How can we have empathy for them and find a different path for them? Or just fucking kill them, whatever. But I don't think most people are so bad that we have to kill them. I think we could provide alternative ways to run society so that people could have better options than they have. And, the world's a very complex place, and people grow up in very different conditions, and some of them have had horrible childhoods, and they've been trained to be what we would call bad. And fuck it, maybe it's easier just to kill them. It's also true that maybe some of the people in charge of your society are sociopathic assholes who shouldn't be in charge of anything. And maybe it's your fault that you let them be in charge of those things. Hopefully you have the means to change that problem, although be very careful, because you could make things worse if you try and change things. Almost every revolution that's ever existed has gone very badly. They result in worse conditions in some ways. I don't know, better, worse. I don't know how to tell you the difference. But I certainly don't know who to shoot. I'm a very peaceful person. I'm not a pacifist in any way. I would love to know who the fuck to kill. But I don't know a single person I would kill. I did have to kill my old dog, which sucked totally. But she was really old, and it was assisted suicide kind of thing. And she did not consent to it, but she also wasn't really complaining. So I understand that death has to happen. I'm not against death. But I do not know of any human that I would kill. There's probably a few. There's probably a few who would kill me. But I get a lot of internet death threats, you know? Like, you should die, I'll kill you, and all this shit. And I know where you live. And it's like, that is a little disturbing. But it's kind of like, well, fuck it. Well, do it then. I don't give a shit. I'm old. Look at this gray shit. You know? And if it's really that important to you, do it. Actually, I'm not really inviting you to do that. I'd prefer you not do that. It would be kind of rude. And you shouldn't be a rude person. You shouldn't just kill people. And so even though there's all these politicians in the world who are really pretty goddamn evil as fuck, I am suggesting that we just create an alternative way of living that makes them outmoded. And there are laws that they make that are trying to weaken you. Like, you know, you can't raise chickens or something. It's like, what, you can't raise chickens? You serious? You know, or you can't collect rainwater. You can't have composting toilets. Or all these other evil fucking laws that they make to oppress you. And there's tons of them. Oh my God. There's so many tons of laws that they have to keep you a slave to them. That make sure you need their sewage system. That make sure you need a license for any fucking thing you do. And the richer country you are in, the more regulations they'll have. One nice thing about living in a poorer country is that they can't control poor people because they're not worth controlling. It's a great thing. Be poor enough so you're not worth oppressing. That's a questionable survival strategy, really. But it's not bad. I mean, it works functionally. Also, be armed enough to overthrow your government. Although that doesn't always work. Because, like, the country I come from is armed to the teeth. And they have not forced their government to follow the Constitution. And they should have done it since about 1880 something or other. They should have taken control of their government. That's a more complex topic, and I know, I don't want to make you think too hard or anything. I do know this. You should be growing more of your own food. You should take care of your family. You should figure out who the fuck your family even is. And all of your neighbors are also your family. All of them. Even if they disagree with you on some important issues, there are people who you could support to be storing food, to be supporting food forest farming, to make sure that you don't have poor neighbors. Because if you have poor neighbors, you're at risk. You want to have wealthy neighbors. And I'm not talking about money. Money is fake as fuck. All your investments, all your bank account bullshit, that's as bad as like Bitcoin or NFTs. You know, NFTs are like buying little images or some bullshit. You know, and I like art. I make art. I'm an artist. But like buying little images of shit and trading it around or having Bitcoin, you know, all the satellites are going to go down with a good solar storm. And so all of that fake fucking money is bullshit. What matters is real estate, relationships, and weapons. Being able to kill the oppressors who are going to take your shit. And your neighbors better be in on that with you, because they want to be on your team to defend themselves against the people who are going to rob you. That's how shit actually works in the world. I mean, read some fucking history. Make everyone around you protected. Train your children in martial arts with farm tools. Local government is all that matters. And guess what? You are in that government. Protect yourself. And if that's confusing to you, you know, you can watch more apocalyptic movies and shit. Some of them are really nice. I wish I had a list of like recommendations for you. But watch those, and I know none of your friends agree with you, and don't tell them that you're storing food. Don't tell them that you're prepping, because they're going to be the first people who rob you. They're going to totally steal all your shit because they didn't prep and they want to survive. Now, you can nicely talk to some of them and you can say, hey, maybe we should store food. And if they have a negative reaction to that, don't talk to them anymore. They will die. If they are in favor of it, then even then maybe don't talk to them. Hook them up with some other organization. I'll make that organization for you, who advises them on, hey, stock the fuck up. Have water, have food, and not just for like a few weeks. Because I just read something from somebody who was like, store food for 2 weeks. And they were very proud of themselves for doing that. And other people were like, that's great, because that's how long it will take for relief agencies to get to you. Guess what? There's not going to be a relief agency that comes to you in an actual emergency. And storing food is a very temporary solution. Means do it. Store food for 3 months. That's what the Mormons say to do. I think. I'm not an expert on Mormons. Store food for 6 months. Store food for a year. Cycle it in and out. And I have rich friends who are so stupid. Sorry, rich friend. That when I suggest this, they're like, well, you know, that doesn't really matter, and the food will go bad, and all this stuff. And I'm like, dude, you're going to fucking die. And he has kids. And I live far from him, so, I mean, and I'm not really directive with him. Like, I don't tell him how to live his life. But, dude, you're a fucking idiot. That's what I'm saying to my friend. And I'm saying it to you right now. Store up food. Because something is always going to happen. Whether it's a volcano, an earthquake, a short-term thing or a long-term thing. And, you know, I mean, we could talk about architecture and why your house is stupid and stuff like that. But, like, oh, I don't know. I guess it's a little frustrating because I know you're all going to die. I'll die too. Don't worry about it. I'm not prepared. I live in the middle of nowhere. I live in rainwater. My electrical system's fucked up. I'm so fucked. So I'm not speaking to you as a person telling you that I'm all perfect and you're bad. I'm saying you're super fucked. I'm fucked voluntarily. I already know that. You're fucked and you don't even know it. So now it might be that if you're actually watching my videos, that you know you're fucked and your spouse or your family doesn't know they're fucked. And I have seen posts about this online about people saying, how can I convince my spouse to be a prepper, to prepare for survival situations that we know are going to occur, but we're not exactly sure what they're going to be or how it's going to shake out. And so one of the pieces of advice I had for them was to play them apocalyptic videos. And like I said, unfortunately, I don't have a list for you to play. But that would be educational for them because fiction does work. And for some people, documentaries work about showing past failures of society. And that is cool, and that might work for your spouse or family or whatever. You know, like, how did Maoism fuck up? How did it become a political nightmare? You know, or Nazism or whatever else other thing. But fiction works really well because it tugs at the heartstrings and people care about the characters and everything. And then they might be able to transfer that thought into, holy shit, maybe something bad could occur here. And then if you send them a couple links to, like, yeah, in 576, the year 576, a volcano went off. I'm not sure if that's the right year. I don't really remember. And then there was like winter for a long time. Or this big rock might hit the earth and cause a big problem. Or maybe you live in an earthquake zone or volcano zone or hurricane zone or tornado zone. And the problem is, one of the problems is that they think someone's going to fucking come help them. They think there'll be help. And it's like there's not going to be help. Not in the worst cases. And the insurance companies are no longer insuring people in other places. So the insurance companies, I mean, they're like a casino, right? They don't lose. The house does not lose. They will never help you more than you paid them. Maybe they will in your individual case. But their entire goal is to fuck people over. So the insurance company's whole goal is to make money off of you. It's not to help you. And the government itself is not there to help you. You are their slave. It sounds dramatic. Yeah, you're their slave. They're not there to help you. They do not care about you at all. And whatever government you live under, it's the same thing. They're there to help rich people. You live under an oligarchy. Look up the word oligarchy. And if you want to be fancy, look up the word plutocracy. You live under rich people. And you exist to serve them. Even if you're one of the rich people who lives under them. You're a privileged rich person. But all the things you think are secure, not even close.